Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are here doing something a little bit interesting. I've been thinking about what would make the Nascar schedule a little bit more fun and interesting going forward in the future. So, what I have done is taken and found the list of all the races as they were supposed to be ran in 2020 before we had cancellations and postponements and things like that. And written down every track that's supposed to host one, all of them here basically. As you can see, I went through, found the original schedule, and made sure I wrote on every single track. And basically, what I did was I wanted to go through and try to build a schedule for 2021 and go with that. So, I also have some potential tracks here. Now, we know that the Nashville track will actually be on the calendar in 2021 as that got confirmed a couple of weeks ago as the time the video goes up. So, let's start up here. Now, some of these tracks that have two races won't be having two in my schedule because most of these tracks don't need two races because it's kind of lame. So, starting off, of course, we're going to put Daytona as the first race. Of course, Daytona should be the start of it. Now, we aren't going to do actual dates because I couldn't be bothered. I kind of just want to build the schedule off of what order the tracks should be raced in and not necessarily just let's just build the whole thing. It's not my job to make dates and times. So Daytona, again, I don't know, we'll do it like the 16th race of the season. Why not? So Daytona will definitely get two races. I guess, though, we'll go down here. These are some of the tracks that I think we can add in. Now, Rockingham's on here based on the fact that there are plans to fix it and budgets and stuff from what I read from the past couple weeks, months, years. I think it was 2019 to 2021 renovations. So theoretically, that track probably couldn't be on the calendar in 2021, but you could say 22 or 23. They could get it repaired and on there because Rockingham is that track for me that I think would be really cool. And a lot of people say, "Oh, North Wilkesboro," that track's absolutely yeeted. Rockingham's fixable at a better chance, and for me, that's the one old track that I remember racing in the old video games, NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup. That game, it was really fun to race Rockingham. That's where I had that remembering Rockingham basically from. So that'd be cool to set on the schedule. The other tracks in here are mostly realistic to be on the schedule. These here would be a race in Canada and a race in Mexico, which still be fun. Yeah. So let's do this. Let's do the Charlotte Road Course next, actually, because the Charlotte Road Course, known as the Roval, I don't use that word because Roval sounds stupid. Now we do have the playoffs in here. I want to put the Charlotte Road Course as the cutoff race in the second round. I believe where it is now. I think it kind of works there. Darlington up next. We're going to put that at race number 26. That should be the cutoff race. Actually, no. It's not going to be. It's going to be race number 25. It's not going to be the cutoff race. Let's see. What else do we have? So after Daytona, where should we head? I think we should head to a new track right away. Nashville Super Speedway, or whatever the hell it's called. That's where we're going. Then we're going to do the West Coast races per the usual order as they are run, I believe. I don't know. We're going to go to Fontana as the fifth race, though. Auto Club Speedway there. But then we're going to switch it up. We're going to go to Sonoma. That's right. We're going to swap it up, and we're going to go to Sonoma for the next race. It makes more sense. Do all the races on the West Coast when you're kind of there. So we're going to go Las Vegas, Phoenix. Then we'll go to Southern California at Fontana, and then Northern California for Sonoma. Then we're going to go here onto the calendar, and I think we'll come back. And after Sonoma, where do we head? We're going to go to Gateway. That's right. Gateway is up next. Then we're going to go to Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen will be the cutoff race. Watkins Glen will be the final race to get into the playoffs, if you're into the playoffs, if that's your vibe. So, looking pretty good so far. Again, not many races will actually do double races. I do think we should go do Martinsville next. That's going to be one of the tracks that does have 2 races. Martinsville's a good race. So we'll do that race number 10. And I do like how it's set up in the playoffs being the final race to get to the championship race. So where's Martinsville? There it is. All right. Charlotte. Coke 600 right after that. Right after Martinsville. I don't know if that's actually accurate. You got to keep the Coke 600 on the same day as the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indy 500. It just kind of is that whole thing. Keep it on Memorial Day. I don't know if that's actually Memorial Day. I guess we can see what race Charlotte's supposed to be. Charlotte is supposed to be the 13th race. And I have it as the 11th race. So Charlotte should actually be down here. Just based on keeping it kind of where it's supposed to be. Because that's on that. So, yeah. Keep Charlotte where it is, of course. That's very important, I think. So we got a gap here to fill, and we got to do some more playoff races. New Hampshire. The only NASCAR race I've actually been to, or I've been to multiple, but the only track I've been to has been New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and I've gone to both the summer races and the one back when it was the Chase. And I can tell you that it's an absolute bitch to be there in the summer. I mean, most of these races are probably going to be asked to be out in the summer. But I know from experience the New Hampshire summer race is whack and is typically just more obnoxious. So go there. Opening race once again in the playoffs. It just felt right to me that that was the opening race in the playoffs. I used to be in there. So after New Hampshire, we're going to go to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. There you go. Also the track that is the Canadian Grand Prix for Formula One. So we go in there right after going to New Hampshire. That may be a little bit cold in Canada in September, but whatever. So we got a couple road course races in the playoffs. Actually, a couple here almost back to back. But this is a good little fit in here up in that area because you go to New York, New Hampshire, and then up to Canada. And then to finish that off, you can come back and finish off the playoff round in Dover. So we'll head back down to Delaware. So sort of do that whole region, sort of similar to here being all the really far West Coast races. All right. So I think after Daytona, we should go to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, which is the Mexican Grand Prix, actually, for Formula One. And they used to do Xfinity Series races both at these two tracks here. It'd be cool to see NASCAR Cup Series raced in other countries besides just America. So that's why that's on there. So most of these tracks here are going to be just a single race, besides, I believe, Bristol and... Oh, I didn't take off Sonoma, did I? No. So both of these are going to be besides Bristol and Talladega. think another summer one right before the. I was gonna say Pepsi 400. I think it's the Coke Zero, whatever the hell 400. We'll say the Pepsi 400. We're gonna do some racing at Eldora. Put NASCAR back on some dirt. Bristol. Bristol's one of the ones that does have 2 races. We're gonna do race 30 at Bristol. And back-to-back short tracks, Martinsville and Bristol there. So Bristol gets 2 races. So far, 2 races at Daytona, 2 at Martinsville, 2 at Bristol. I think that's it. I'm picking good tracks to do 2 races at. Let's be honest here. All right, so we got Homestead up next. Homestead feels weird to be in the not the playoff race, basically the championship race for me. Being the only one that I've ever known as the playoff race. It's been there since 2002. So I would have been 3 when they started racing at Homestead for the championship race. So for me, that's always been something I'm used to. So when they announced it's going to be in March initially, now they're doing it in June. Actually, the day that I'm recording this video is going to be when that race at Homestead. It's kind of weird. I just watched the Xfinity and truck races there. So yeah, I think that should be a playoff race. Now it's not going to be the championship race, but it is going to be right before Martinsville. Next we go to Atlanta. We'll do that right after Gateway. Had that in mind for quite a while. So we got this gap kind of to fill in here. I do think Iowa. We'll do Iowa at race number 22. Iowa's going to jump up from being a pure Xfinity Series and truck track to being a Cup Series track as well. And along with that, we're going to do Indianapolis right here, but that's going to be the road course because the regular oval at Indianapolis is terrible. All right. As you can tell, I like road courses. I didn't add Mid-Ohio or Road America in, though. I felt like we could do some other ones like the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez and the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I just felt that was a little bit more interesting, go to different countries, and also Indianapolis road course. I mean, going to Indianapolis is kind of like a thing that they do now, but I think that doing on the road course would be fun. I know they're going to do that for the Xfinity Series, so see how that works out, but doing that for Cup Series would make that race a little bit better. A lot of people want short tracks and road courses, so that's what we're getting here. We'll also not eliminating tracks. I didn't want to eliminate tracks in the calendar. I just wanted to do more races, basically. Oh, damn it. I learned this, though. I learned you can do Command-Z, and you can go back and undo your mistakes. So Kentucky, we're going to do right before the Indianapolis road course. All seems kind of in that same area. What do we got here? I think, honestly, I want to put Darlington as the 24th race. Because we're kind of doing some races in areas that make sense. So we'll do Pocono, so we'll go Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, New York, New Hampshire, up to Canada, back to Dover. So head down to Delaware. Kind of do something like that. Chicagoland. Yikes. Chuck that in before Kentucky, I guess. I don't know. And then we'll do Michigan after the Autodromos Hermanos Rodriguez. We'll do Kansas. After Iowa. Which that leaves us with just 5 tracks. And how many spots to fill? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 5 tracks and 6 spots. So, one of these tracks is getting 2 races. And it's not going to be Richmond. Be 100% honest with you, Richmond is boring. People get excited because Richmond's a short track. It is the worst short track on the calendar by a long shot. Texas. Texas will go before Eldora. Which leaves us now with 4 spots. The 12th race, the 31st, 33rd, and 36th. So the championship race will be either at Talladega, Circuit of the Americas, or Rockingham. So let's find out which one it's going to be. So I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be Talladega. As much fun as that would be to have the championship decided on a super speedway. Yeah. So, of course, Talladega, you had to figure it was going to be the 12th race. Because we're going to do 2 races in the playoffs at the same track. But I do think we will do it there at the 31st race as well. Do that right after Bristol. So, this playoff looks pretty good, not going to lie. So now it comes down to Circuit of the Americas and Rockingham, 2 new tracks. Where are they going to go? One of them's going to be the 33rd, one of them's going to be the 36th. So, we're going to do Circuit of the Americas, which will be here to start off a round. So, we'll do 2 road courses back to back. And, of course, we will finish it off, the championship deciding race at Rockingham. Throwback right there, but I like it. So, can we see it all on one screen? Yes, we can. Okay, so we're going to start off, of course, with the Daytona 500. Very, very simple there. I'm not going to lie, I did consider having Daytona not be the first race, but I guess it just came down to the fact that it is the Daytona 500. It is the starting race of the season, mostly forever, so we'll keep it that way. They'll head to Nashville Super Speedway, the newest track, onto the actual calendar at the moment, and we'll keep that the way it is. Then we'll do the West Coast swing with a little added twist at the end of a road course. So we'll go Las Vegas, Phoenix, Fontana, and Sonoma. Then we'll head to Gateway, adding that onto the calendar. Then we go to Atlanta. Then we do 3 short tracks in a row, Richmond, Martinsville, and Bristol. Then we go to a super speedway again with Talladega. Then we do the Coke 600, of course, to keep that sort of in the same slot that it always is. Then we go to Texas. And then we have Eldora, so bring NASCAR back to some dirt track racing for the Cup Series. Then we do the Pepsi 400, as I'm going to keep calling it, at Daytona. Then we go to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, which is, of course, a track that used to host Xfinity Series races and currently is the Mexican Grand Prix for Formula One. Then we go to Michigan, Chicagoland, and Kentucky. Then it's off to the road course of Indianapolis. Switch it up a little bit there. And, I think make Indianapolis a little bit less boring. Then it's Iowa, which goes and becomes a Cup race finally. Then we see Kansas, Darlington. Not sure if that's the right spot for it. May want to take a look at that. And then we go to Pocono and Watkins Glen to wrap up the regular season. But continuing with that northeast kind of vibe, we go to New Hampshire, then the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which of course hosts the Canadian Grand Prix Formula One, and also used to do Xfinity Series races. Then it's to Dover for the first cutoff race of the playoffs. Then we go to Bristol, Talladega, and the Charlotte Road Course to do more playoff action. Then it's Circuit of the Americas in Texas. Then to Homestead, Miami Speedway. And then again, elimination in Martinsville. And finally, bring back Rockingham, which hasn't been on the calendar since 2004, to host the championship race for the Cup Series. So I do think this is a very good calendar overall. I think it's pretty fun. I do want to see the Darlington race is race number 24 right now. I think it's like 27 or something. 24 is in August. Well, you know what? Not going to worry about that. It's close enough. Yeah, so I think this is a good calendar. I think that adding in a bunch of other tracks, I think this is a better way to do it. I don't really think there's many NASCAR tracks that really need to be, visited twice. Do we really need to go to Texas twice? Do we go to Las Vegas twice? Like, most of these tracks aren't really necessary to visit twice. Kansas, Michigan. Like, I think Daytona twice is cool. I think Bristol twice is cool. I think Martinsville twice is cool. Talladega twice is cool. But most of the ones just go to them once. Road courses, you don't need to visit twice. It's kind of unnecessary. There's so many out there you can go to. And there's not really many tracks on the calendar that say, wow, I want to see another race at that track this season. Let's be honest here. We don't need to go to 10 different mile-and-a-half tracks 2 times each. I mean, I think that having this is a good breakdown, because we still got a bunch of mile-and-a-half tracks, which is super boring. And then we can also go to other tracks. You can go to some of your short tracks, go to some more road courses, and I think that makes it a little bit more fun. And I think that it's cool to have that diverse of a calendar. I don't think that going to the same track twice a year, almost every single one, makes a good diverse calendar. I think that sort of takes away from that fun of it almost, because you watch a race and you're like, cool, I get to watch the same track again. And I think that's what makes the calendar stale to a lot of people is, okay, cool, you switched the dates for Michigan and Chicagoland. That makes a difference to me. Like when you're watching it, that doesn't really matter, the fact that they change where the races are. I mean, some of the iconic ones, like I think Darlington should, have that Labor Day date. I know I just threw it in there kind of, but I don't want it to be a playoff race. I don't think that's necessary. But, having that date, I think is important. Having Daytona along with the 4th of July is important. Having Daytona to start as well, important. Doing the Coke 600 on the Memorial Day, the same day as Monaco Grand Prix and Indy 500, very cool. But besides that, I mean, you work around those races. You work around the 2 Daytona races, you work around Charlotte, you work around Darlington. Everything else, you kind of just do whatever. And that's what I wanted to do with this, and I also wanted to do, again, just kind of throwing whatever happens onto the thing. And again, doing multiple tracks twice is not that fun. And again, when you have tracks where the drivers are like, oh, I'm already in the playoffs, I'm just going to learn what I can get here to improve myself for the next race, I think that having the only double races that are in the playoffs is Bristol, which, okay, you can learn from that. But the other one's Talladega, which anything can happen. So, and again, Bristol, anything can happen too. So you can't really just have a good car at, the first Bristol race and show up and be like, oh, I'm going to dominate here. Bristol's one of those hard tracks to really do that at. It's such a difficult track. So I think that really just makes the calendar a lot more difficult. Oh, we also do have Martinsville in there as well. But Martinsville, again, it's one of those wild races where you never know what's going to happen. So you don't necessarily say, oh, I went to Kansas, now I know my setup for the fall. You don't have that luxury, and I think that makes it more fun. And again, having more road courses, I think road courses are really awesome. And I hope you guys think this is kind of fun as well. Not really sure if people think this is cool. I think that this is awesome. I like this calendar. Let me know down below what you would change yourself and what you think about this. And also what you think about doing NASCAR in other countries, as we have both Mexico as the 17th race and Canada for the 28th race. Let me know down below what you guys think of that. And we will see you guys in the next one. I talk about the channel membership we have called Epic CW Plus. So let's get into it. Tier 1 for $1.99 in US dollars. You get early access to content 1 day early once a week. Meaning, if there's a video that goes out on a Wednesday, there's a potential that you could see that video on a Tuesday. As for Tier 2, which is $4.99 in US dollars, you get everything included in Tier 1 and exclusive content 2 Sundays a month, which will try to plan around the F1 and NASCAR calendar so you don't see 3 videos on Sundays. So as we continue to improve and upgrade the channel, this is just one of the things we're going to make better. If you're interested in joining, just click the join button below near the subscribe button to get started. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you consider joining today.